Hi, I'm Suneera Madhani, and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to $1 billion business. Yes, $1 billion business. Along the way, I learned that less than 2% of female founders ever hit 1 million in revenue, and I became obsessed on a mission to change that. I believe that there is so much gatekeeping in business knowledge, and that we as female entrepreneurs should be learning from other female founders and leaders who have broken the statistics. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. Welcome to CEO School. Hi everyone, welcome to the CEO School podcast. I'm your host, Suneera Madhani, and today I have brought back a special guest that has already been on the show, but I am so excited to welcome her back and hear part 2 of the story, what's happening, what's new. I have Jacqueline Snyder, the CEO and founder of The Product Boss. Jacqueline is an entrepreneur with over 20 plus years of product-specific experience, ranging from fashion design to startup consulting. Through the top 10 ranked Product Boss podcasts, masterminds, and educational programs like Multi-Stream Machine, Jacqueline has empowered tens of thousands of small business owners to build life-changing product-based businesses. And one thing that her and we have so much in common, but she's also a daughter of immigrants, and she definitely inherited her mother's entrepreneurial creativity and hustle. And Jacqueline is on a mission to honestly help women break through their own glass ceilings and specifically, like us, achieve financial independence. Jacqueline, welcome back to the CEO School podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me back.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you. We should have had the cameras rolling
I know.
10 minutes ago. This always happens. The conversation's so good. We have so much to catch up on. Jacqueline is also here for the ROI Summit. She just got off of stage, so I want to definitely go back and, catch up with her on what happened today on stage. I missed your talk, but what was it about? What did you talk about today?
It was all about scaling a product-based business. So sold out and talking about all the scaling, and for people who are just starting out their businesses all the way to $2 million. I just met a woman. She's incredible. She's she's probably in her 60s. She's $1 million business. She's been selling it through Facebook. And
Amazing.
She's selling spices, like $8 spices. Like, holy moly. She's like, what else should I do? She's like, I have 60,000 people on my email list, but I don't send emails. I was like, send an email. So it's pretty cool to meet the community and to see how so many people have built beautiful businesses in so many different ways.
And I love that we're going to talk specifically about product-based businesses, but for our service-based businesses that are listening in, do not just go to the next episode. We are going to talk about how we can all leverage products within our business, whatever style of business that we have. But Jacqueline is definitely the expert here on scaling product-based businesses. I have so many questions for her all the time that we're together because we have so many women. I mean, it's literally 50-50 in all of our communities. It's product-based or service-based business, and you are definitely the expert in scaling that. So I'd love to first just kind of share a little bit about, I know last time you were here, there were some changes in the company, so I'd kind of love for you to take back the audience. I'm going to link the last episode into our show notes so you can go back and catch the last episode, but just take us back to a little bit on your entrepreneurial journey and where the company has evolved and where it's going to next.
Yeah, thank you. So last time I was on the show, I was with my business partner, who is now my former business partner, but still such a good friend, and I can get into that. But, my experience is that I was a fashion designer, and actually my first job was in Florida. I had moved from LA to Miami, and I was designing for Cosa Bella, which is an Italian lingerie company that was based in Kendall, Florida. And, I was designing for people behind the scenes, but I knew so much. I was raised by entrepreneurs, like you said, first generation Americans. Well, I'm first generation. They were immigrants, and they had to figure it out. They got here and they just hustled and they figured it out. And the thing I think I took from that was this idea that you could make money from nothing. It was sort of like there was this American dream that you could pursue and you could build anything you wanted. And so I never felt this sort of stuck way of being, where it was like you have to follow a certain path and then you're going to get there. It's kind of like you create your own path. So I think I was really fortunate because when I eventually decided to start my own business, I started consulting people and helping them create their fashion, apparel, and accessory brands. And I even did one of my own. So I've helped literally launch, design, produce all the things over 2,000 brands.
Wow.
And then as I was doing that, I was like, I have ideas. I have ideas all the time. I mean, we all have.
So you were like the integrator. You were behind the scenes of these businesses.
Yeah, I was like, basically you would come to me and you're like, hey, I want to start, I don't know, a shoe company. And I'd be like, great. And I would design it. I'd help them ideate it. I'd help them produce it, sell it, market it, all the things. So I like to say I've like launched, 1,999 more fashion brands than most people. And so through that, I started my own business, which was called Cuffs Couture, which was a wearable wrist wallet for when I used to party at clubs, inspired by my time in Miami. And I sold it to 60 different countries. And then also like Kim Kardashian and Carrie Underwood wore my product. And this was all pre-social media. So I really learned how to create a product from an idea and then to figure out how to sell it. Because I think the biggest issue, and I think a lot of people have this, is like that concept of if you build it, they will come. And so I launched it on a website to crickets because nobody was searching wearable wrist wallets for when you go clubbing with your girlfriends, right? So I ended up having to figure out like, how do I find the customers? Like, how do I get in front of them to buy? And that's really the foundation, I think, of what the Product Boss is, which is this idea of multiple sales channels. And that's what I did with Cuffs. And then as I was actually closing down that business, it's how I met my partner. And we had started the Product Boss together because we realized we had these different ways into how you could have physical products and you could sell them in lots of different ways. But we recently broke up last year in terms of like dissolving our partnership. It is amicable and I love her and she loves me. And we thought about when we kind of hit this impasse and we were just basically like, we both want very different things. And there's no, if one goes to the other one's side, they're going to be losing out on something they really want for their life. So we really had to have this like heartfelt conversation. And I said to her, I feel like our soul's contract is done. And so it was this idea. So it was up in the air who wanted to buy the other out. It ended up being that I ended up buying the company. I'm honored that she trusts me with it. And I'm just so excited for all the new things that are going to come.
I really appreciate you kind of sharing that update. And I'm so like, it's so amazing to hear that perspective because sometimes we believe like, when it's, we're so afraid of getting into a business partnership because it's really hard to make them successful.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't work out, it's really hard. And it's not usually as amicable as you made it sound. But I really do want to ask like, how did you guys like, I'd love to just for those that are in that, might be in that similar boat or thinking about buying out their partner. I think one thing you said is like, when you know that it's a complete different direction, I have faced this many times in my life. And I think business partners also can look like different things in your life. So it might not necessarily be the exact 50-50 partner that you have. I definitely had partners in my business at Stacks, my private equity companies, and like we were partners and both owners like into the business, but we can also have very different visions. And then it's time to like make those decisions as well. I've also had a business partner when I actually started CEO school. So, from way back in 2020. And that was really quick when I realized like, oh, we are definitely like two different visions. So it was a lot easier because the company was maybe not even a year old.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear how, as women, like I think that there's like a different perspective of breakups in business. And I love what I'm hearing and feeling. And I'd love for you to share how we can make that as nice as yours.
Yeah. I think when we met each other, we started as friends and the business kind of evolved. It was like birthed from us, right?
Yeah.
Like we realized we would talk to each other all the time. We're like, there's this need for this, but we used to call each other biz besties. And I think she was my other spouse, basically, right? We were in this marriage together. It's kind of probably like you and your brother. Yeah. We really cared about each other almost as family. And we always thought about the other person. And maybe it's our nature, right? Maybe our nature was to think about like, how is she doing? How is she feeling? How do I, so we're always thinking about each other in it. And I think that it's hard to replicate, I think, there were times that we were mad at each other. Sure, there were times that we were like really annoyed at each other. And that's when things were good. That's when things were bad. But as we started, we had hit an impasse where it was sort of this idea of the company had grown and the company grew so fast. Like we ended up in like the top 500 of like Inc. 5000 last year. Like it grew so fast and we're so lucky. But before we had met each other, because we met each other in our late 30s, we had our own ideas for our life and how we wanted to raise our kids and what we wanted our lifestyles to look like. And I think I if someone puts a lid on me, if they tell me like it's not possible, it makes me want to feel die, right? Like I'm like, I need the entire blue sky and I need to know I can go to like space and beyond. Mm-hmm. And that I think was like we both felt, someone described it like this. We were both butterflies and we were both holding glass jars on top of each other. We both had this like different version of our life. And because we were trying to take care of each other, it was stopping us both from the life that we both imagined. And we want each other to be happy. So really, I think it had hit a point where I was like, I love her. I don't want this to go south. I don't feel like I'm living my best life or aligned with how I feel. And so that was kind of the time where we're like, we need to have a conversation about this, like a real conversation. So I think it's taking care of each other, and we just didn't let it get to the point that it had to get catty, or I'm like we weren't like the housewives throwing like, you know, champagne glasses at each other. We were women taking care of each other. And I think that's just so important for people to always like be in each other's care.
I love that you said women taking care of each other. Mm-hmm. And I think that there is this shift that is really incredible to see, especially in the right, when you're in like the right like-minded value system.
Yeah.
Then I think that that's really important. Where the glasses of champagne or like the like it becomes crazy is when the value systems don't align.
Yeah.
Then that can become really hard. And I really hear you when you talk about, when you said it, like my brother, and I really appreciate you saying like we still fight and things get really not fun, and whether it could be a good day or a bad day. Yeah. Like it could be when things are great and when things are bad, and that's just part of business partnership. So if you feel like that's part of it, that's normal part of business partnership. But when there's that fundamental, I like how you phrase it, of that like where the alignment of like, are you living the best version of your life, and is that aligned with the business, and is she living her best version? That's really amazing that you guys were able to come to that point. And then now, you know, I know one of the things, it was all about big and scale and blue sky. And so tell us about the updates on Product Boss.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I think like I'll tell people if they're like, oh, I need a business partner. I used to think, you know, it was so funny, was I grew my other business. Like I was like, I need a business partner that knows about business. And I was telling this to a client of mine that was a guy, and he was paying me $10,000 a month to work for him. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you know something about business? I was like, oh, this guy's actually paying me a lot of money to be his consultant, you know? And I was like, oh, I guess I do know something about business. So I think there's this idea of sometimes when we think we need to like compensate for something versus, hiring for something. But then with the Product Boss, what I'm really excited about is this idea now of like, okay, what's in my mind? Like, what do I imagine this business to be solo, which is kind of a trip, right? Like it's like, it could be anything. So what is it going to be? So one of the things I was really excited about is I switched the podcast over, and people are loving it. And so I switched it to coaching calls. So I'm coaching people.
Cool. Yeah. Ooh, I love that.
So it's got a voiceover component to it where I'm kind of breaking down what we're talking about in the calls, and people my students, our community are really loving it because they're getting to kind of hear this behind the scenes. And someone left a review and they're like, it's like you were talking to me, just swap my name out for her. You know, because we all think we're on these islands.
I love that. I love. There's so much magic that happens in those calls. I've never thought to put it on air.
Yeah. It's just, and what I realized, and so going back to like alignment, I've been coaching people for 20 years, right? My consulting business, helping people grow businesses, that is my superpower. So I think this idea of leaning into my superpower and having my own voice in my head versus always thinking, and you know this, having partners, always thinking about the other person and needing to collaborate. So there's something very scary about it. And then because you're like, oh crap, what if I make a mistake?
That's okay. One of the last episodes we just recorded was all about fear. We have to embrace it. Mm-hmm. Like, and you know this, like fear it's so important. It is part of the it's part of everyone's journey, and we've got to have it. Otherwise we're not human. And so if it's not scary enough, it's not big enough.
It's not big enough. Exactly. And this is such a beautiful business that we built. And like I said, I'm honored to be able to carry it on. And so, so I think we're moving into membership. It's going to be an incredible membership. It's going to be for business owners that are like just starting out all the way to $100,000. It's going to be this incredible program that like we help you ideate. So it's the concept of like ideating it, making the product, figuring out how to brand it and market it, all the way to scaling it, selling it, delegating it, and operating it. So it's going to be this whole full business, because what I know is I can sell a course, I can give people courses, we can mastermind, I can do coaching sessions, but I feel like there's this vessel and container that's missing, that's going to help you through the process, and it's going to have the templates that you need, and it's going to have the community that you need, and it's going to have the coaching that you need, because that's what I know. I know that like when you talk to somebody, they need different things. And so I really want it to be this beautiful container that's going to help people hit $100,000. I recently heard that only 12% of women-owned businesses make it to $100,000.
Wow, that number is definitely I thought it was definitely the last time that I had read the statistic. It wasn't much more than that.
Yeah.
I think it was in like the 25%.
Okay, so maybe.
No, but we are going backwards actually in many ways. No, statistically, it's actually, it's
terrible.
So terrible. We had on the show a venture capitalist, Nisha Dua, a couple of shows ago, and we were talking about just venture capital and what's happening in the venture capital space for women. And last year was actually the lowest year for venture capital for female founded only businesses. It was actually sub 2% when it was a female founder only. We actually went backwards.
Unbelievable.
And so there were areas that we carried and I'm like, well, where's the progress? And then the progress is definitely being made when it's like multi-founder. So there were some areas of improvement, but it was so disheartening to hear. So I'm not surprised if that's like the current state statistics.
Yeah, we'll have to look up that stat, but it's still an unbelievable stat that even $100,000 is so hard to get to. So that's sort of my goal. And, I was telling you before we started recording, I was inspired by my mom because my mom really, she grew up in London, and it was kind of this way of she was supposed to be a secretary. That was kind of the culture for, young women at the time. And she had this option that her parents said, you could go to art school because she was really creative, or become a secretary. And she's like, well, I'm going to do what's safe and be a secretary. Turns out she's a stay-at-home mom in a relationship with, they eventually got divorced. My dad was up and down, abusive, all this terrible stuff. And I saw her and I was like, just leave. Can you just leave? But she's like, I can't. I have 5 kids and I have no way to support them. And I just was like, Mom, you could do this. You could do this. Even as a kid, I saw the potential in her talent and that she could make money, but she didn't believe in herself. She didn't have business experience. She didn't have the education. She had to raise 5 children. So, that was really, I think, my initial inspiration, where for me, I was like, oh, I'm never relying on a guy. I will always figure out how to make my own money. Even if my husband makes a ton of money, I still want to know that I can make my own and have that ability, so I'm never stuck. And then what's, really cool about my mom is eventually they got divorced, and I did coach her on product, and she got on Etsy, and the Kardashians, Kris Jenner bought a bunch of her baskets for Easter one year. And so it's like, Mom,
y'all
you
and
did
the Kardashians. You got something.
I know. Well, I'm in LA. I mean, that's, Valley girls. But, the thing is that she had Etsy at that point, and she didn't have a sales channel or platform back in the day when she had to figure out how to do it on her own. So I think that's just really, it's incredible. Everything that you go through in your life where it gets you. And I'm like, my life's mission is to help women make their own money, and really through their creative businesses. And it just happens to be through product.
I love that. And I think one of the things that, makes you really special on the product side is really that not just the ideation, but the scaling component of products. So I know you have the multi-stream machine. So I'd love for you to tell us about what is so if we've got a product-based business, or we're thinking about, and I know we're going to go into the service space and how we can add product, but how do we turn this, from an idea into where it is truly scaling?
Yeah. So that idea, and that's something that we've, when we launched the business, it was based on multi-stream machine. And then that is something that's going to be inside this membership, is this idea of multiple sales channels. That's really ultimately what it is. And so, like I said, when I first started my business, it was this idea that I thought, if I build it, they will come. So many people are like, I'm going to launch on Instagram. And it's like, I like to call him Mark Zuckerberg. He is not on our side. He wants us to pay him for ads. There's nothing going viral anymore, attracting new customers. So, the thing is how do we sell to people where the customers are? Where are they? Where are they shopping? And so the idea is are they in person? Are they buying from retail shops like boutiques? Are they buying on Amazon or other people's sales channels? And so that's the thing I really wanted to empower people, is that, we've got so much software. There's so many things available to us now to reach so many other people. There's platforms out there. But the idea is where are your customers shopping? And this concept is, I want them to build their own website. I want them to have an email list, because you can't build on borrowed land. So it's really important that you have that, but it's the harder way to launch a product. And the easier way would be to get in front of your customers and talk to them and do the market research and do pop-up markets or farmers markets, or to sell to boutiques. And I teach them how to do this, how to contact them, versus, there's platforms like Fair, for example, that you can put your products on, but it's ultimately like Etsy. It's just a bunch of people posting their stuff, praying to God someone finds them in the sea of other products. So yeah, so it's really this multi-channel sales like way to make sales, but it also is a way to market your product. Because if you think about it, we discover product through salespeople, we discover product on people's shelves, and through word of mouth. And so the more we can get onto these other sales channels, the more we can reach people through influencers.
Oh my God, I feel like I buy everything based on like what one of my friends is wearing, saying, doing, and I just trust. I like the people that I like.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how I like pretty much shop for products now.
Yeah. And influencers, by the way, are the original, just like your friends telling you about something, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think that it used to be, I think even the way that the influencer, the creator market has grown, because it is so like, it used to be this like, it really felt fake a couple of years ago when it was like, here's this like ad. And then here's this like product, and it was like product placement gone like completely wrong. Like it was like, okay, I could totally see that's an ad and you're selling me something. But now I think that there's so many niche content creators and it's not about like this huge following. It's just, I really, really love that the way that this one, woman applies her makeup, right? And so I'm like, oh no, I love, she's a brown girl. She's got like perfect skin, like, or like, I don't know. And I like her skin tone reminds me of my skin tone and how she does her makeup that way. That makes complete sense for me. I'm going to buy the products that she recommends. She doesn't have millions of followers. I connect with her in other ways. And so I think that even influencer marketing has evolved so much. Even for myself, like I feel like I used to be like, oh, I'm not going to ever post on like, I don't want to take ad money, or like I'm not trying to endorse products. It's going to taint my audience. So I've always shied away from doing brand deals. And like this last year, we're sitting down thinking about what's ahead for next year. And my big word for this year is collaboration. Like that's it. I'm not doing anything by myself anymore. I've like tired of like last 10 years, I was like heads down. Like in everything that I do, I get heads down. I do it really well, but I take a lot of it on like, in one lens, and I'm like, collaboration is it. But one of the things I was telling my brand manager, I'm like, I really want to do more brand deals this year and like really partner with like the coolest, amazing companies that I love. And I already speak about the things that I love, like, but I want my audience to like be part of that too. But it shifted for me in the way I used to think about influencer marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, and then, thinking about product and the scale, and even whether it's digital service, whatever it is, user-generated content as influencers as well, right? So it's this idea of like, if your customers are using it, putting that in front of your customers, right? So if you have somebody post and they tag you, use that, because people trust people and people buy from people. And I think that's why doing these collaborations and influencer things. And like you said, I think it's the transparency and the integrity behind it, where we know the people that are just doing it because they're hustling and they're getting paid for it, and then we know other people that are incorporating into their lives. And just earlier at the summit, I was telling people, follow the influencers. Like, don't just pay somebody because you think they have a lot of followers, but like follow them. Like, look at how their followers are interacting with them. Are they asking them, hey, where did you get that? Because if you see an influencer and their followers are asking them questions, right? Like, oh my God, I love your glasses. Where'd you get them? Right? That means they have an engaged audience that actually wants to know about it, versus someone who's just pushing out content like an ad machine.
Yeah. So multi-stream, going back to multi-stream. So it's all the different facets, understanding where your customer is, all from in person to online, and then creating the playbook around that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of we say there's like 9 playbooks in there, because there's a lot of things that I think product people overlook. Like I said, this woman with $1 million spice company who has 60,000 people on her email list and has never sent an email. And I actually had some listeners in the audience that know me. And so I didn't even have to answer. She's like, what do I do? Like, how do I bust past $1 million? And I looked at the ladies sitting behind her. I was like, ladies, what should she do? And they're like, send an email. I was like, yes, because you could make money in the email. You can make money on social media. I mean, TikTok shops is blowing up. I have a student right now that she made like $20,000 in 14 days selling adult coloring books, like simple adult coloring books through TikTok shops. It's crazy. So there's so many sales channels that you can do, social media platforms, I think, really stepped up during the pandemic, because what they knew was that if they sent people off the platform to someone's e-commerce site, we don't know what that site's going to look like. We don't know what the user experience is going to be. So they wanted to maintain the customer that was interested in the content, and then give them a really easy way to check out through like e-commerce online through the platform. So I will say that was a blessing that we were able to do that transaction through content and not having to worry about what our website looked like.
I love this. We have a couple women inside of CEO School as well in the Millionaire Founders Club that have multi-million-dollar businesses off of just off of TikTok products. And now like they're and getting like, true partnerships from like free people and like just doing incredibly well, but completely sold out constantly and kind of on the other side of scale where the operations isn't catching up to scale. So we'll touch base on that maybe later when it gets to that point. But first I want to ask you, there's in the product space, I think one of the hardest things is also that like finding that ideating, right? I get a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs and they're like, where do I start? How do I come up with that? And now in 2024, I can't believe I'm saying 2024, the market is so saturated, right? There's even for that adult coloring book, there's probably a million other coloring book options out there across all the different sites. So how do you break through in the noise of all of the products?
Yeah, such a great question. So I would say that my background, and I feel like there's always been so many products, right? We've always had to compete and break through the noise.
Maybe we just haven't seen it.
Right. Yeah. We didn't have social. We didn't have all these ways of seeing it. And obviously, there were the big guys were doing it. But I like to tell a story about a student of mine that she was 6 feet tall. She wanted to create clothing for women that were tall, which is not my problem. And so, we talked about, she's like, I want to make bathing suits and evening gowns and pants and jeans and all the things. And I was like, well, do you have $1 gazillion? Because it's going to take that. So I was like, what's the biggest need in the market? And she's like, pants. Great. Okay. Now, what part of pants do you really feel like there's a need? And this was during the time that like Lululemon and Alo and all these, designer athletic companies, athleisure were coming up. And so she was like, athleisure. So we ended up launching 4 styles only in black of tall girl leggings that were cool and trendy. And so it was like being really niche. And I think, I talk a lot about the bestseller or what a customer can be known for. And a lot of times we think we have to come out with entire collections or huge things. But if we look at Stanley, like the Stanley cups, the mugs.
Yeah.
They're a 110-year-old company and they were making, I think it was like $70 million a year. And then in 2017, one of their product designers came up with a Stanley mug that everyone knows now. It's like super viral. And it didn't really hit. It didn't take off. But what they saw was, funny enough, an influencer that was obsessed with them. Obsessed. And she had this following. And they realized that she was like really excited about it. And so they had ended up selling her the product to sell wholesale to her own people. And it was actually the CEO of Crocs that came in. And he understood a shoe in lots of color variations, and then this idea of influencers. And so that was the thing that shifted for them, which now it's insane, the amount of like these cups that people have, like 30 of them in their house. The company made $750 million last year. It's a 110-year-old company. So I think the idea is like not going too broad.
It's literally over 10x.
Yeah.
Over 10x.
And it's been around for
100 years.
Yes.
That is amazing.
And so it's this idea of, one, obviously it's never too late. 2, it's paying attention to what your customers want to buy from you and then making variations on that. So I do think that you could stand out. I have a student that makes skincare out of tallow. She lives on a farm. It's like fat rendering from cows. It's like a very not vegan, but she blew up on this tallow balm. And then she ended up branching out into other products and into makeup and all these other things, but she blew up on this product that she was known for. So I think when you want to differentiate yourself, it's like you can always find something special, a good story, a good thing that you can position yourself in the market around, and then you just make it a little bit different. And you make a good story around it and you really connect with your true customers, and then you can scale your business past that.
I love that. And it's hyper focused, right? It's niching down. It's getting that one product right. And I'm sure you call it the same. I always call it like the hero product, and that's the hero product. Is there a hero, marketing vehicle of your choice? You said email was definitely like it's the hard way, it's the traditional way, but email is the go-to. What are the top things that you're seeing that you're helping that's working? Because I know the ad strategy, like social strategy, like you said, Marky Mark makes it really difficult. And it's quite frustrating, right? To scale. It's so hard to grow on Instagram anymore. Yeah. Like it's just like, I feel like I've been stuck in my own, where I've been at for years and years and years. I'm like totally happy where we're at. Yeah. But it's hard to scale and grow. What are the avenues that you're seeing that are actually showing traction?
Yeah. I call it, I know there's other words, but I call it pop marketing. So paid, organic, and partnership.
Okay.
So you're either going to be spending money. So for paid, right? You either have to have the money and know that it's going to convert and get the money back, especially with product, because we have a cost of goods. There's organic, which is the way of social media where you're just trying to play that organic sort of way. And then there's partnership, which I like to say, it is influencer marketing, It could be partnering with other brands. It could be partnering with boutiques, doing pop-up shops. It's really just like getting in front of other people's audiences. I say email, but I'll tell you that it's one of the things that my students want the least, because I think for them too, it's like it feels hard. And then if you're selling on Etsy, they don't give you the email addresses. If you're selling on Amazon, you don't get the email addresses. So I think that you could, I'm going to tell you that you can grow your business without social media. You absolutely can. And I have so many students that have made so much money without social, and people feel such a relief. I think that when you think about organic marketing, I think Alex Hormozi said this recently, but it's like, it's not that people have shorter attention spans. You're just kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, Alex, you're right. Because I actually just had a reel go viral that was a minute long. And
Really?
I was
Okay.
like, wow, people tell me 3 to 7 seconds, and this is a minute reel, but it was helpful. It was all about like product photography, and they really wanted to learn something from it. So I was like, okay, you're right. I was just really boring in 3 seconds.
That is really funny.
So I think like when you find, what I really think it is it's finding what you're comfortable with as a marketer.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I think product people do is they want to hide behind their product a lot of times, and they're not comfortable in marketing. They're not comfortable in selling. They'd rather make, they'd rather ideate, they'd rather design. And so it's finding the channel that you feel comfortable with. I think one of the fastest ways would be through paid ads. That is probably the fastest if you can afford it. I helped a pacifier company get to $1 million within 10 months by like sticking to one product, naming their products correctly, and they ran ads. And they could do it, right? And they've scaled. I also have another student. It's already aired on Shark Tank, but she was on Shark Tank, but she has like this really strong following that she did through social media. So it was finding this community and people following it. So can I say there's anything specifically? I think it's a mix. I think if you're going to go all in, it's a mix between paid, organic, and partnership.
I love that. Pop marketing. Okay, so to kind of close this episode, we could sit here and talk forever. This is so interesting, and you're definitely not boring. So you're going to go viral way more, and maybe this episode will go viral because you're on it. So Jacqueline, to kind of close this episode out, we did promise to service-based entrepreneurs why this is important and how they can leverage product-based components as part of their service-based business, because service-based businesses, like they love telling the story. They sell themselves every day. Mm-hmm. They are selling themselves. They're usually pretty good at telling that story, getting their own name out. They're in front of the camera. So they're not shy from that. So what can they do to leverage the growth and the, what's happening in consumerism on the product-based side to apply to their service-based business?
Yeah. So I fully believe nobody wants more swag. Right? I do not want another mug with your company name on it, because I already get in fights with my husband about our mug shelf, right? Like how much space we have. So, and then I feel bad. You feel bad throwing a mug away. So I think a lot of times service-based people think that swag and something with their company name on it is the thing that their customers are going to want and actually pay for. But ultimately, they're just a walking billboard for you. And they're just a piece of marketing for you, right? And that's not what the customer wants. That's not what your audience wants or your community. So I've seen a few people do this really well. I think someone like Jenna Kutcher, for example, you can do affiliate marketing. So it's this idea, kind of what we're talking about, influencer marketing. If there's SaaS products that you really like, things like that, where you can add product to your business without you having to buy the product, have cost of goods, fulfill all the things that come with owning a product-based business. And that could be another stream of revenue for you by doing affiliate marketing. Another thing that I think that's really helpful is building community around your product. I know you've done it. I love your product.
Oh, thank you.
I do. I love it. I think it's so good. And so it's the idea of community, and it's the idea that people want to get something that they can't get anywhere else. So if they can feel like, oh, if I see someone else in that, it's this idea that like, oh, we know each other. We're on this like inside club. It's kind of like, you might know the brand Daughter of an Immigrant. Mm-hmm. And so like people wore those shirts, and it was like something identifying ourselves. I think that's why shirts like that did so well. It was sort of the same time that Instagram and captions really grew up. We would post a picture of ourselves, and a caption would tell you how we were feeling. And I feel like that's the same thing that happened with shirts.
I think for us, I definitely didn't want another piece of swag, and we had some of like the most amazing captions and sayings, and just I wanted to have things that I wanted to give my friends, or that I would want to receive. And so for us, we have an amazing like product little shop, a little retail shop of really fun sayings for CEO school. And we've just got like some of the best like sayings, like girls just want to have funs, right? And
but don't you have like Mom, I am a rich man? Mom, I'm
a rich man. We've got that's like a bestseller sweatshirt. We've got our mug that's like nothing bad happens when women make more money. So a lot of our sayings, but it's not a lot of product actually. So it's maybe like 8 or 9 SKUs. And it's just like our little baby, but we haven't put ads to it or whatever. It's just for our community, and you could buy it. We'll link it into the show. I don't even talk about it. So this is what I should do. We can link it into the show notes so you guys can get yourself some non-swag. Right?
But that's the idea though, right? Like it's community. So if I saw someone else wearing it, I'd be like, oh my God, CEO School, right? Like, and we would see each other and we would be able to identify with each other in a way. And so I think that's like a really good way to do it. And then someone who's done this amazingly is Ryan Holiday. So he has, he talks about all the things he does in his life and like stoicism and all these things. And he would always talk about books. So again, it was kind of affiliate, different books he liked, and then sending people to Amazon and they'd buy and he'd make affiliate income. Well, he recently opened his own shop. I think it's called The Painted Porch, and it's a bookstore that now he curates books for his community, right? So if you feel and see a need, and I think the last part is if your service, so there's someone I know that is a home organizer, and she created, it's called the Sunday Basket. And so she taught people how to make their own version of a Sunday basket of like gathering all the papers you need for the next week. And then eventually she created a product that solved the need and the problem of like the system she created. So that is probably the most, integrated way of starting a business or a product side of your business as a solution for your customers' needs.
And I even would consider like templates or these like processes that you can like really click and buy and sell as a product within a service-based business as well. So.
Yeah. And so many people actually want the physical journal now.
Yeah, they do.
I
write every day in it. And all the time people ask, like, can you just like send it? I'm like, I have a digital template, but I physically want to write in my journal.
Yeah. So I think there's that part of, I actually just bought something from an astrologer, and I bought the physical, but I also got the digital, and I really wanted the physical. So there is this turn back to physical as well. So just thinking about what your customer wants, but I will tell you, your customer does not want swag. They're not going to pay you for swag. So you can put all your money into it, but just know that you're just like, giving away marketing dollars.
Jacqueline, this conversation is like always the best. I can't wait to go get drinks after today. And like finally we'll get a chance to catch up on real life and all the things. To kind of close this up, I'd love to ask you, now it's been, you've got 10 plus years, 20 plus years in experience, but 10 plus years in entrepreneurship. What's the biggest lesson? Like now that you're here, what would you go back and be like, man, I wish I knew that?
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I used to wear a bracelet that said, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? And I know we were talking about fear. And I think it's continuously reminding myself of that. I have owned businesses. I've shut businesses down. I've bought a business now. And so I think the thing is that we think that it's always going to be one way. Or, I went to school as a fashion designer and was a fashion designer and then came out of that. So knowing that your life, there's so many different eras of our life. There's so many, just Taylor Swift version of this. So we all have these different eras, and it's okay if things change because you don't know what's around the corner, and it could be something even greater than you could have ever imagined.
I love that. Like we're going back to Taylor Swift. Yeah. I love the eras. It's so true. There's seasons.
Yes.
And we're allowed to change.
Yes.
We're so allowed to change. This is so amazing. Jacqueline, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you ladies next week at the CEO School. If you enjoyed today's episode, do screenshot this. Jacqueline and I are both online. Tag us, share it, tell us your favorite takeaways, and leave us a review so that we can grow. I want to hear what you want to hear, and if we should bring this live coaching into the conversation. I mean, I think that's so genius. Fun. So fun. I think it would just be so fun to do.
Yeah.
So give me all the things. We're happy to do them, and I can't wait for next week's episode at CEO School. I'll see you then. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you loved it, leave us a review. We are so proud to bring you authentic conversations, game changer expert guests, and valuable content on and offline. The best compliment you can give us is by screenshotting today's show and tagging us on Instagram at CEO School and at Suneera Madhani. We are obsessed with swag, so don't be surprised if we want to send you some. Thanks for tuning into class today, and remember, nothing bad happens when women make more money.